In a New York federal courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs told the judge he was, quote, a little nervous. The rap mogul's criminal trial began this morning. He is sex trafficking, racketeering, and more. The two sides are now in the process of selecting a jury of 12 plus alternate.
So here's what came out of today's hearing. Number one, the government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial. They also talked about the jury selection process, which one legal expert I spoke to said is probably the most important thing that you want to pay close attention to before the actual trial starts. And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his.
Yo, the courtroom chaos swirling around Sean Diddy Combs is straight up next level, and New York's federal courthouse is the hottest ticket in town as his blockbuster criminal trial kicks into overdrive. It's day 3 of jury selection, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a dull spoon. Diddy's facing some seriously wild charges: sex trafficking, racketeering, and a whole pile of other accusations that have the internet buzzing like a hive of bees. The vibe in the courtroom, pure fire, like a sold-out concert with everyone on edge. The prosecution's rolling in with a squad ready to throw down, while Diddy's team of legal assassins is geared up to clap back. But hold the phone, because the judge just dropped a bombshell that's got everyone shook. None other than Ben Chew, the legal legend who helped Johnny Depp dominate his courtroom showdown with Amber Heard, is now in the mix. Yup, that Ben Chew and his surprise cameo is sending shockwaves through the trial. This move is flipping the script, and the energy in the room is popping off like never before. Over the first 2 days, the court hauled in a mind-blowing 167 potential jurors, all to find the perfect dozen to decide if Diddy's walking free or getting locked up for good. But here's the tea: 49 of them got the boot faster than you can unfollow a shady account.
Built a reputation as one of the most talented actors in Hollywood. A respected artist whose name was associated with success at the box office. Today, his name is associated with a...
The rest were hit with a whirlwind of nearly 100 yes or no questions, like a high-stakes game of truth or dare to sort out who's legit. Those questions were laser-focused on where these folks get their news and what they really think about Diddy. Some were straight-up savage, like, yo, I'm not a fan of his vibe. Others admitted they might crack under pressure if the case gets too intense. By day 3, the pool was slashed to a tight 35 possible jurors, and this crew is a total wild card. We're talking a mix of designers crafting cool fits, social workers helping the community, doctors saving lives, and factory workers keeping it real, with ages spanning from their mid-30s to their 80s. Their news sources, a chaotic buffet of TikTok vids, YouTube deep dives, old school newspapers, and random blogs that probably haven't been updated since 2010. That mix is risky as heck, because these people are drowning in celebrity gossip online, and opinions can switch up faster than a trending dance challenge. Big names like Dr. Humor are already out here stirring the pot, claiming the charges aren't even about Diddy's ex, Cassie Ventura, but other folks entirely.
He is not being charged with crimes against Cassie. He's being charged with crimes against others. Cassie was paid and dismissed. Why is she being brought back into court after taking that man's money and testifying against him? That right there is clearly an excessive and abusive use of the law. Absolutely wrong. I do not like it. As far as Puffy asking for his case to be delayed, I agree with that. Remember, one of his lawyers recused himself. Okay, at least one of them. So he probably has, some new people on his legal team. They got to get reacclimated and get caught up with what's going on. And I saw nothing wrong with him asking for a 2-month delay. He's already in jail. Y'all didn't give him bail, which y'all also think is a violation of his constitutional rights. So he should have got the 8-week delay. But here we go again. Deion Sanders. We want to make an example out of Puff. And of course, Deion wasn't accused of what Puffy is being accused of, but we want to make an example out of Sean Puffy Combs. He was too confident, he was too big, and it was time for us to bring him down.
He's calling it a massive overreach by the law, especially since Cassie took a payout and pieced out years ago. Dr. Humor is also hyping Diddy's push to delay the trial, saying his new legal team needs time to get their game plan tight after one lawyer bylaid. He's throwing shade, saying the system's trying to make Diddy an example like they did with Deion Sanders, knocking down a king for shining too bright and being too confident. The judge is hustling to lock in the final 12 jurors plus 6 alternates from this small pool. But don't get it twisted, this case is massive. Diddy's staring down 5 huge federal charges tied to an alleged shady operation involving sex, drugs, and total control.
Also have a member of the team going through the social media of these jurors, making sure they didn't do anything. I mean, how much research can you do in terms of, did they search for something? Did they say something? I always am curious about that because you come into court the next day and you always hear a prosecutor or defense attorney say, court, we have an issue we would like to bring to your attention. Juror number 5 was looking at, it's like, how did they find that out? Is that what happens?
Well, it is in a high stakes case like this. I mean, as you know, not all clients have the resources to hire, jury consultants and to hire investigators. But in this case, you have a defendant who could theoretically be sentenced to life in prison, who has the means. So I'm sure, or I would think, that his counsel have a team of investigators following the jurors around to the extent they can and looking for any electronic footprint.
Word on the street is Cassie might take the stand and drop some earth-shattering secrets that could flip the whole case. If things go south, Diddy could be looking at life behind bars, no cap. That's why the courtroom just got a major glow-up with Ben Chiu stepping in. Ben spilled the real, saying picking a jury for a celeb scandal like this is like playing chess with half the pieces missing. His crew's probably creeping through jurors' social media, sniffing out any shady posts or hidden biases. In a high-roller case like this, Diddy's got the cash to hire investigators to tail jurors and dig into their digital footprints, checking every like, retweet, and story view.
Morning, day 2 of jury selection in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Combs, seen in court with graying hair. Federal prosecutors are trying to prove Combs used his power, wealth, and fame to force women into drug-fueled orgies he called freak-offs and then threaten them into silence.
The jury questionnaire warning potential jurors there may be evidence of sexually explicit videos, photographs, and language. Many prospective jurors said they had heard of the case, and this potentially damning evidence, video first obtained by CNN showing Combs knocking then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura to the floor of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 and kicking and dragging her. It was upsetting to watch, one woman told the judge, but I don't know the full story, so I can listen to the facts.
Many prospective jurors said they recognized the names of other celebrities that might come up at trial.
Several potential jurors knew of Combs' cultural significance. The woman said she remembered him from Making the Band. A man said he liked to listen to hip-hop in the 1990s.
Can't nobody hold me down.
When Combs became a chart-topping artist. To remain in the jury pool, all had to say they could be fair. The judge tried to keep things moving, so when the defense asked for a bathroom break, Combs apologized, saying, "Sorry, Your Honor, I'm a little nervous today."
Put Johnny Depp on the stand. It's always a high-risk strategy. It worked for you. If you were representing Sean Diddy Combs, would you put him up?
Well, we put Johnny up because he was telling the truth. So that was a very easy decision to make, and he had the burden of proof, and frankly, we couldn't have stopped him even if we wanted to, but we didn't want to. Telling the truth as he did over several days, you're not telling the truth, skilled attorneys on the other side are going to puncture that. I believe in that system. I think in this case, I don't think he's got any choice. Given that video, he's got to explain it. He's got to say that he's terribly sorry for it, but that was an aberration. That's not who he is. He simply has.
But here's the juiciest spill. Nobody's begging to jump on this jury. Unlike Johnny Depp's defamation circus, where folks were hyped to get a front row seat, this criminal trial's got people running like they saw a jump scare. Why? The charges are dark, heavy, and could get straight up disturbing once the evidence starts rolling in. Ben says Diddy's probably sweating buckets, wondering who's gonna end up holding his fate in their hands. On day 2, Diddy rolled into court, gray hair popping, looking nervous and even apologizing to the judge for needing a quick bathroom break like, "My bad, Your Honor, I'm just vibing with some jitters." Prosecutors are painting him as a power-hungry mogul who used his fame, wealth, and clout to force women into drug-fueled freak-offs, and then silence them with threats. A jury questionnaire warned about spicy videos, photos, and language that's gonna hit the courtroom soon. One massive bombshell, a 2016 video CNN dropped showing Diddy knocking Cassie to the floor in a Los Angeles hotel, kicking and dragging her like something out of a nightmare.
I think you want somebody who wants to serve, someone eager to serve, because that suggests that person might be inclined toward a celebrity like Diddy. I would also, in this case, I would want men, not because men support abuse, but I could see this being very difficult for women jurors. I would want younger jurors as well. I don't know that older jurors would be good for him.
Do you care where they get their news? Do you care if they go on social media?
I wouldn't care so much about social media. Certainly watching you on Law and Crime would be a real problem. But no, I wouldn't care too much. I mean, in fact, if they were reading the celebrity media, TMZ, Rolling Stone, that might be an encouraging thing for Diddy's counsel. Diddy has a very good jury consultant, probably more than one, who is profiling the type of juror who would be most sympathetic to him. And I think it's wise for attorneys, even experienced attorneys, to defer for the most part to those jury consultants. Now, ultimately, it's the client's choice, and the client should be participating in the process, especially whereas here, his liberty is at stake.
And was that something that you had in your case where your client wanted to get involved in the jury selection process? Because it's been reported that Diddy has been almost like nodding to his attorneys or maybe even shaking his head regarding certain prospective jurors. Is that common? Is that what you saw?
I think that is common, and it's natural that you would want to have some role in in choosing the people who decide your.
It's not about bias, just about keeping things balanced so the jury doesn't get swayed by feelings. Everyone, glued to their screens, waiting to see who makes the final cut and how this jury shapes up. Sources say Diddy was not cool when Ben Chew crashed the party. Behind closed doors, he reportedly flipped out, feeling this legal superstar's input could tilt the jury selection against him. His legal team was caught off guard, and now Diddy's worried this move could mess with the trial's whole vibe. Starting Friday, both sides get to use peremptory challenges to kick out jurors without explaining why, unless the judge sniffs out something shady like race or gender bias. Things are already getting messy. One juror got axed for working at HBO, which just dropped a spicy Diddy documentary that's got everyone talking. Another almost got the boot for working at the Legal Aid Society, which defends folks in criminal cases, but they stayed after the judge checked their story and gave the green light. Ben says this phase is do or die for Diddy's defense, and his team's probably got jury consultants profiling every single person to find the ones most likely to vibe with Diddy's side. Last year, that CNN video of Diddy and Cassie sent shockwaves through the industry. Diddy came out with an apology, but prosecutors say it's just a tiny glimpse into a 20-year pattern of fear, violence, and control. They claim Diddy was the mastermind behind freak-offs with male sex workers where women were pressured into participating with no real choice. He allegedly planned every detail, picked who was in the room, and secretly filmed it all without anyone knowing. Some of these parties went on for days with new faces coming and going like it was a revolving door. A dude named Chopper who's been around Diddy's scene dropped some absolutely wild claims that nobody saw coming. He described walking into rooms packed with dominatrix gear, sex toys, and what he called shockingly huge adult toys, think 10 inches, that Diddy allegedly kept for himself.
So I don't know, bro. I'm talking about celebrities. I'm talking about big time celebrities. You dig? I was just young city. I was just Chopper. You heard me? But to see like the juggernauts, the big dogs, you dig? The people we grew up watching, it was kind of exciting too. It was weird, exciting, and because you can't believe that you're here. They are accepting you. But I don't really think they was accepting it. They just was fucking having fun. They didn't give a fuck who was there. And it was kind of like a situation towards, what you see in here don't go outside. It was kind of like that, if that makes sense. Whatever happens in here stays in here, because everybody got something to lose in here. So it was kind of like that too. So I guess that made people be okay and willingly able to do whatever they wanted to do in there. You heard me? Because they knew that at the end of the day, it wasn't going to come back out of there. That's why people were so eager and fun to do what they wanted to do in there. Just my opinion. So everybody has something to lose. When I'm walking, you heard me, I walk into this room. You heard me, I walk into this room and I've seen all types of, what'd you call it? Dominatrix looking dildos and sex toys and all types of weird shit. That was in my head. Like, to be honest with you, at this time, I was green gas, so I wasn't thinking it was like Diddy's room. I thought it was more like Diddy be like bringing girls over and just doing all types of crazy shit. But knowing what I know now, that nigga's a fucking freak. Yeah, so yeah, I've been to his house in style and I seen dildos, sex toys, and all types of weird shit in there.
Chopper thought it was just Diddy being extra with girls at first, but now he's like, nah, that dude's a straight up freak. Even crazier, Chopper claims Diddy once made a move on an MTV cameraman, making things so awkward and uncomfortable that the guy quit the company altogether. That story's raising major eyebrows, especially since it involves someone who was just doing their job behind the scenes.
The producers over there at MTV at the time, who was super cool guy. He actually had the camera walking with us, you heard me, to Brooklyn to get the cheesecake. The first Art Dialogue interview, you heard me, that I did, he DM'd me and I definitely talked to him. He was like, yeah, bruh, how you been, Chop? I'm like, I'm straight, bruh. Appreciate you hitting me. Long time. He like, yeah, bruh. I appreciate your interview, you heard me, that you did on Art of Dialogue. I said, thank you, I appreciate you, bruh. And he was like, you ever notice why I was shooting with y'all and then all of a sudden you haven't seen me after that? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I said, why is that? He said, because one time Diddy invited me to his office and told me to suck his dick. And he was like, he said, I damn near wanted to kill him, bro. He was like, I left the office and I quit.
Drugs like GHB and magic mushrooms were allegedly handed out like candy at these events, with women expected to just roll with whatever went down, no questions asked. After the parties, they were reportedly given IV fluids to recover, like they'd just run a marathon or something. Prosecutors say Diddy used these secret recordings to blackmail women into staying quiet or doing more.
Say they found recordings of freak-offs, and the evidence was then used to blackmail these women if they didn't cooperate more.
Diddy's longtime ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, filing a lawsuit against them last year that changed everything.
He would direct her how to touch the sex worker, how to pour like oil over her body, and he would watch these things happen while he was masturbating.
Cassie Ventura's lawsuit gave the blueprint for the Southern District of New York to investigate Sean Combs. And the lawsuits that followed gave the brick and mortar to build the case against.
Say they found recordings of freak-offs, and the evidence was then used to blackmail these women if they didn't cooperate more.
Diddy's longtime ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, filing a lawsuit against them last year that changed everything.
He would direct her how to touch the sex worker, how to pour like oil over her body, and he would watch these things happen while he was masturbating.
Cassie Ventura's lawsuit gave the blueprint for the Southern District of New York to investigate Sean Combs. And the lawsuits that followed gave the brick and mortar to build the case against.
The charges get even darker: guns, kidnappings, and even arson to keep victims in line. One chilling story claims Diddy dangled a woman off a balcony during a heated argument, like something straight out of a horror flick. Cassie's 2016 lawsuit laid the groundwork for all this, with court docs saying Diddy directed her in super disturbing ways during these events, like telling her how to interact with sex workers while he watched. Diddy's legal team, led by Mark Agnifilo, a heavyweight who's repped big names like the NXIVM cult leader and pharma bro Martin S.H. Crowley, is coming in hot to fight back. They've got a stacked lineup with Alexandra Shapiro, Tenny Gallo, and Brian Steele, who just defended rapper Young Thug in his own headline-grabbing case. Agnifilo, out here saying Diddy's no criminal, just a guy living a wild, consensual swinger lifestyle where everyone was down for the vibe. That hotel video with Cassie, he's calling it a nasty fight in a toxic relationship, not some trafficking scheme. He's also pushing back hard on the media's unfair portrayal, admitting Diddy's got flaws but swearing he's not guilty.
In the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted. The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to sexually exploit both women and men for decades. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution charges that accused him of coercing alleged victims into prolonged, drug-fueled sexual activity that he called freak-offs and threatening them into silence.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings. So here's what came out of today's hearing. Number one, the government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial. They also talked about the jury selection process, which one legal expert I spoke to said is probably the most important thing that you want to pay close attention to before the actual trial starts. And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his defense team. And just to recap, Combs, who is 55 years old, could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Did he even turn down a plea deal, betting it all on this trial? Is he sitting on some secret weapon, or is he just that confident he'll beat the charges? The jury's staying completely anonymous to dodge threats, harassment, or crazy fans trying to slide into their DMs. With opening statements just around the corner, the whole world's watching to see how this plays out. Will Diddy walk away a free man, or is he about to crash and burn in epic fashion? The courtroom's a pressure cooker, and every move is being watched like it's the season finale of a Netflix drama. Diddy's team is banking on a jury that can see past the headlines and focus on the facts. But with evidence this explosive, it's anyone's guess how it'll shake out. The prosecution's ready to bring receipts, and if Cassie takes the stand, it could be a game changer that flips the whole narrative. Diddy's legal squad is fighting like their lives depend on it, and the stakes couldn't be higher. This trial's already a cultural moment, with social media blowing up and everyone picking sides. So what's your take? Is Diddy getting a raw deal, or is he about to face the music? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, share this with your crew, and subscribe for more piping hot updates as this drama unfolds. Catch you on the flip side.